Hi, welcome to Ken's Games Collection, and this is the third and final video in what turned out to be kind of like a little mini-series on game franchises that need to come back. I've gone through this collection behind me. I'm still astonished with how many franchises I can pull off the shelf, put on this table in front of me. And there's like 2, 4, 6, 8, there's 10 franchises here that I really believe that should come back. And let's start off with where it all began for me on the Master System with the Wonderboy series. Now, we've had remakes of Wonderboy 3: The Dragon's Trap, even Wonderboy Returns. We have had spiritual successors to it, but we have not had a proper return of Wonderboy, like another game in the franchise. It's always been remakes. So I would love to see either Sega or Westone, I'm not sure if they're around anymore, but I would love to see them take this franchise and bring it back with a brand new game, not a remaster, which I'm happy with the remasters, but to have this series return with a brand new story, brand new game on consoles would be fantastic for me. And it was the first game that I played on the Master System. This was the game that got me into gaming, so it is really special. And I just feel like, you know, we've seen the spiritual successors, and how about taking that one step forward and making a full-on new game in the series? I just think it would be great. Now, the next one I want to talk about is actually from Capcom, and I love this series back on the PlayStation 2. This is actually, I picked this up overseas on the PlayStation 4, and it's the Onimusha Warlord. Now, this series was really cool back in the day. I loved it more than the Resident Evil series. It has similar camera views on this game, but I just love the whole ninja samurai storyline. The dialogue's a bit wooden. It's not very well acted, but it makes up for in amazing gameplay. And playing this game again after all those decades, I guess you could say now, it's more than 20 years. I think it's more than 20 years when we first played the Onimusha series, but it was a great series and it's great to revisit it. But I think that Capcom, they could really bring this back. We've seen Ghost of Tsushima, we've seen there was another game that was released by From Software that, you know, really worked well. And I think that if Capcom, you know, they should just look at what's happening with those games and seeing how well they've done, bring back Onimusha, because it was a great series. It really was something that we loved back then. We couldn't wait until we got the second and third game in the series, and it just disappeared after that. Never came out on the PlayStation 3. They just, you know, just abandoned it. Now, this next game, I thought maybe it wouldn't be in this list because, well, it's Mini Ninja, but then I realized that there was another Mini Ninja game released on the Xbox 360, which was a Kinect game. There also was a game released on the Nintendo DS, and more recently, maybe 5 years ago, I think there was a Mini Ninja game released on mobile phones. So it warrants to be in this list. But this was a great game back in the day. Really got overlooked by a lot of gamers, maybe because when you look at it, you think it's a cute, you know, cartoon graphics. It is a fantastic game with a lot of different characters. The environments are really cool. There's a lot to do in this game, a lot of exploring to do. It just was a great game and a great series, I guess you could say, when you consider that there was other games released on Xbox 360 and mobile phone. But I think that this, it should have had enough legs to continue on in a series. It would have been great if it was, but it wasn't. But if you haven't heard of this game, or if you've seen it but you never really thought of getting it because the way it looks, do yourself a favor, give it a go, because I really feel that you might enjoy this game. It's a really great game, and it would be great to see that return, but it probably never will. So the next game actually was released on VR, but I don't include that in this list for the fact that I don't own a VR headset. I think a lot of people out there don't own it, but I really want to see a proper return to the Half-Life series. Yeah, okay, we got the VR, but I want a proper console PC game of the Half-Life series, Half-Life 3, something like that, because I love these games. I played them so much on PC, and to think that this got released on the PlayStation 2, Half-Life, then we got Half-Life 2 on the Xbox original, which you can see it's a lot better on the original Xbox compared to the PlayStation 2. The Xbox actually blew the graphics of the PlayStation 2 out of the water, I feel. But we also got the Orange Box set, which was phenomenal. Got Portal, Team Fortress, we got Half-Life Episode 1 and 2, a great series, but it really needs to return to what we know as a first-person shooter minus the VR. If somehow they could release that VR game to be a full-on first-person shooter with your controllers or whatever, keypad or whatever, that would be really cool. But this is a series that a lot of us been wanting to return, and when it was announced with the VR, I was like, oh really? But a great series that I feel, you know, it needs to come back. It was such an incredible series, and it's been so many years, decades even, that we haven't seen it, and it's just a shame for me. Now, next series I want to talk about, I'm not sure if this is actually coming back, but I played the first one on the Dreamcast, and it was, of course, the Soulcalibur games. Back on the Dreamcast, this was the only game that Namco made for the Dreamcast, and what it did, it showcased the power of the Dreamcast. It was like, for me, it was like, oh my god, this is way better than anything I've seen in the arcade. And back then I was a huge fan of the Tekken series, and when that came out on the Dreamcast, forget Tekken altogether. I've always been hooked on the Soulcalibur series. We've had come and go over the years, but I really want to see this return fully. I know you can get Soulcalibur, you know, the remaster from the online stores and stuff like that, but bring this back, because it was an incredible series, I feel, and it'd be so great to come back. Now, next game is actually the Ridge Racer series. The first time I played Ridge Racer was on the original PlayStation, and I loved it. I loved the whole aspect of drifting in that game, and that's one of the main things. What I like about the Ridge Racer series is the drifting, and the tracks were really great, the environments. But looking back on the original Ridge Racer on the PlayStation, you know, it shows its age now, I guess. I did have the Ridge Racer game on the PlayStation 2, and there was a really cool one on the Xbox 360 that I had, but I had to get rid of them years and years ago, so I may have to get them back in this collection, because I realized I only got Ridge Racer 7, and this was probably the last time I bought a Ridge Racer game was on the PlayStation Vita. And I think this one you need to download some stuff on this. It had, I think, online play, which, you know, for the Vita, not really into that sort of stuff. But a great series that Namco, again Namco needs to bring it back. We haven't seen anything or heard anything on the next gen systems, and I don't even remember if it was released on the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. I don't think it was. So that was just crazy, because it is a fantastic series. Now, this one goes back to the PlayStation Portable, and I absolutely love the Jeff Jr. games, platforming on the PlayStation Portable, which was really good. And I thought this was a series that could come back in some way or shape or form. It was released on, I believe, the Wii back in the day, but it was a great platforming series with a lot of humor in it, and I think that this game from Konami warrants a return in some way, shape or form. Now we're going to go on to Xbox, go back to the Xbox, because the Xbox had some great games, even though these games were released on PlayStation 2 and I think the GameCube. I always looked at the Xbox graphics as being way better than those other systems. And this one is actually made in my hometown of Brisbane, and it's by Chrome Studios, and it's the Tasmanian Tiger series. Now I've got 2 and 3. I need to get the first one back, and those prices are going up on the first one. But it was a great series, and I think with the Tasmanian Tiger, we did get a remaster or HD remaster of the first game. It was digital only. It would have been great if that would have got released physically, but a return to this series on next gen systems would be great, because it was a great series back in the day. I absolutely loved it. And the same goes for Attack, the Great Juju Challenge. I got 1 and 2. I need to get number 3. Again, this was fantastic on the original Xbox. I think, graphically it looked way better than the PlayStation 2 for sure. But a great series, platforming gaming, which I loved back then, was so cool. So will we ever see the return of Tiger Tasmanian Tiger or Tack 2, 1 and 2? Who knows? But I think it would be great if that did come back. Now I think I've only got one more series to show. I think that's the end of this video. Now, what can I say? It's Nights into Dreams. We got Journey into Dreams as well, which was on the Wii. I think I made a wrong choice of releasing this on the Wii. It's not as good as this game. They tried to do. I played a bit of this, but I really need to sit down and try it more. But it hasn't got the magic of this game. And I think if Sega could go back with Sonic Team and recapture the magic of this game, release a brand new game in the franchise, it would be fantastic, especially for us that grew up with the Sonic Team, the Sega stuff. And Nights into Dreams was an instant classic for me. Just remember going into this game store and seeing this demo from the Sega Aussie Soft sales rep was in that store. He had the game demo and asked if we wanted to see it, and of course we wanted to see it, and it was incredible just watching this demo. And it was one of the reasons why I didn't get rid of my Saturn back in the day. I was actually thinking get rid of the Saturn altogether, but this game, this is the original game I kept all these years. Journey into Dreams was a bit of a disappointment with a lot of people, but it doesn't mean that Sega could always return to this series. It was fantastic. So that's pretty much it. That is all these franchises that I wish would come back in some way, shape or form. There's a lot of games here that really mean a lot to me, because Wonderboy is the first game I ever played and got me into gaming. Nights in a Dream was phenomenal. Onimusha was a great series. Ridge Racer, Half-Life, so many great franchises here that just disappeared. And if they ever came back, it would be fantastic. So that's it for this series. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.